A brand new project, Ikizuraibu Love Live Bluebird, has just been announced at the conclusion of the Asia Live Tour, and I could not be more excited. Before we get into the analysis, let's go over the information we know so far. First is that we got a short teaser video during the live, which was pretty much just the key visual and some music. The key visual was later released on Twitter along with 2 hashtags, both reading Ikizuraibu with different Japanese spellings, and that's it. That's literally all of the information. So, you may ask, why the hell is this video 15 minutes long? That, my friend, is because I am a true Love Live connoisseur. It's my 10th year being a die-hard member of this fandom, and I've learned a lot in my time here. So much so that I believe I already can analyze and speculate on quite a lot from this small amount of information alone. So buckle up, because we're about to delve into every little minuscule scrap of information we can possibly use to speculate on this project. Before analyzing the content itself though, let's talk about the announcement. To many, this was a big surprise. After all, this marks the 8th iteration of Love Live, or 9th, or 10th, depending on who you ask. Regardless, the Love Live cast continues to grow larger and larger despite still having so many actively moving parts. Yes, adding more members is a shock to some. However, after 15 years of Love Live, I personally was just waiting for this moment. Ever since Muse was first announced in 2010, we've consistently had a new main group announced every 5 years on the dot. After 15 years of this, I think we should collectively agree to stop acting surprised about this as a fandom. It's already been 5 years since Leela came out, and while their main story has only recently concluded, we've still had quite a while to get to know these girls. And in case you're thinking, what about Hasuno Sora? They just came out. Well, yeah, you're right, but Hasuno Sora doesn't fit into the formula of Love Live in the same way the main groups do. They're an experimental side project, similar to Nijigasaki. I know side project is a controversial term to some, but it's true. They don't have a full group name, they don't have an anime, and their story is all told through a game. This mirrors Nijigasaki perfectly, at least as its original conception. On top of that, they were announced 5 years after Niji, meaning that these game side projects have their own sort of 5-year formula separate from the main one. That also means that we should expect a new side project 2 years from now, but that's beside the point. The real reason I'm bringing this up is that I want to dispel any claims that this new group came out too soon, or that it will take away from the other groups, or that we don't need a new one. Not only should we welcome this new addition, but we all should have expected it. We've seen these same criticisms over and over and over again ever since Aqua was announced 10 years ago, and I, for one, am happy to have more of my favorite series. Love Live has thoroughly proven that they are able to embrace all of their groups and support them all equally, so we should support them in turn. And what better way to announce it than at the finale of a live tour that featured every single one of the groups we know and love? I think it's beautiful, and I can't wait to see more. Now finally, getting into the actual analysis, there's actually quite a lot of information conveyed in just this cover and the title alone. Let's begin with the latter. Immediately, the fact the font is so drastically different from what we're used to tells us that this whole project is going to be a departure from the norm. This project is called Ikizuraibu Love Live Bluebird, which is drastically different from what has been established thus far. It's not Love Live with a subtitle like Sunshine and Superstar. Love Live itself has become the subtitle. It also only appears in English, not Japanese. What's more interesting to me is that, although the main title is consistently pronounced Ikizuraibu, it has 2 completely different meanings depending on which spelling they use. The first to appear in the teaser is in hiragana and kanji, and the second is in katakana. If you don't know Japanese, this might not sound like much to you, but the key difference is that katakana is usually used to spell things in other languages, such as the Love Live title itself. The first title to be shown is the one that's written fully in Japanese. In this way, it reads as 2 words rather than 1. It basically means being alive is difficult club. The club part is particularly interesting, as the school club aspect of each Love Live generation is important to the plot. When it transitions to the katakana title though, it loses the meaning of club completely and instead becomes a pun that effectively translates to being alive is difficult concerts. Maybe a better pun in English would be live is difficult. Either way, it's a really sad title no matter how it's spelled. The subtitle as well, Love Live Bluebird, is interesting. A bluebird is a living thing, which is unprecedented in a series that's only used broad concepts such as Sunshine or Superstar. One thing that's consistent in every generation after Muse is that they encapsulate a core theme alongside their title iconography. For Aqua, it's shining. For Nijigasaki, it's the excitement that comes from so many different rainbow spectrum idols. For Liella, it's the dream of becoming a true superstar. And for Hasuno Sora, it's the idea that you can blossom. So with that logic, Bluebird must represent the true theme of the main characters, and by extension the group's, arc. Of course, blue on its own connotates sadness or longing, as is clearly portrayed by the picture. However, the fact it's a bird in the title almost completely contradicts the sadness we've seen thus far. Birds represent many things, but not many are negative. What comes to mind for most is probably that of freedom. It could be that our protagonist is longing or hoping for freedom from something, and I believe becoming a school idol is what will save her. Another thing that birds represent is, well, love life. In particular, bird feathers. We've seen each main character be passed the torch via a bird's feather, and we can expect the protagonist to get the same. But the fact that she also gets to claim the bird itself is honestly not something I ever expected. The feather has always represented all of Love Live, not just one aspect, so to see it essentially claimed is a really interesting choice. It almost feels like this could be the culmination of all of the series' themes thus far. That may sound like a stretch, but that's not the only reason I'm starting to believe this. Let's take a look at the main character herself. We don't actually get a great look at her here despite being front and center twice. One thing we can see though is her hair, and oh my god, I might sound crazy here, but I think this hair is the key to everything I've said so far. The first thing I noticed is that her hairstyle is really reminiscent of Honoka's. I mean, 2 leaders with a side ponytail? I don't think that's coincidental. Any character designer knows that making your character's silhouettes different is key to making them recognizable, so they would normally be really careful not to do something like that unless they had a reason to. And that's when I noticed something. The leader similarities don't end there. If you look closely, she also has an ahoge. You can just barely see it at the top of the image, meaning it's not just a simple consequence of motion in the bottom image. That means she has both Honoka's tail and Chika's ahoge. So what about Kanon? I'll admit that's a bit harder. It could be the length of the hair that represents her, but I'm more inclined to believe it's the bangs. That's like the part of Kanon's character design that gets pointed out the most. This girl's bangs aren't nearly as dramatic, but the fact she has long side-swept bangs on the same side as Kanon at all is evidence enough to me. Personally, I don't think Ayumu or Kaho were considered here, but if they were, it could be accounted for by the scrunchie resembling Ayumu's bun, or her hair color being similar to Kaho's. Whether they were meant to be included or not, it's clear to me through the combination of both the hair and the bird title that this new project is meant to be built on the themes of the past ones. Whether it's the true culmination of them or not is yet to be seen, but just thinking about that possibility really has me excited for what's to come. And all of that was communicated just through the little information we got. So what else can we glean? My first thought was to try and see if her uniform relates to a particular region's traditional styles, but we actually don't really get to see her uniform at all. What we do see is a jacket, a scarf, full stockings, and a really long skirt. Immediately, this screams winter and snow. And it's totally possible that they just set this image in winter for dramatic effect, but I think it's deeper than that. In particular, the stockings and long skirt seen in the smaller image tell me that this isn't just a temporary way she dresses for the cold. Even in winter, the Love Live girls are always shown wearing their short uniform skirts with bare legs. Because of this, I theorize that this story will take place somewhere in Hokkaido. The sleeves of this uniform don't match the sleeves of Saint Snow's uniform, so it probably won't be Hakodate. Sorry, Saint Snow fans. My next guess would be Sapporo, being probably the most well-known city in the region. This could also be a cheeky way to sneak in a scene where the Sapporo Ice Festival is mentioned, although that's probably just wishful thinking. Regardless, winter and snow definitely tie into the blue part of Bluebird, and it seems like it would be thematically fitting. Unfortunately, there's not too much else to be learned from this image. If we go back to the trailer itself, all we really get is this sad piano, and like, girl, we already know you're sad, we get it. So, without much else to say, it's time for me to introduce my most wild theory yet. I believe that, despite only being shown one member, we've already been told exactly how many members are going to be in the idol group. 8. And there is evidence for this number. It's actually found right within the title. In fact, the same information should have revealed to us that Liella was going to get 11 members all the way back when Love Live Superstar was first revealed. The key is with the birthday figures. Both Muse and Aqua have a set of figures where they stand on a set of letters that spells their title. Love Live for Muse and Sunshine for Aqua. In Aqua's case, the 2 exclamation marks is treated as one character, but I think the use of 11 characters in Superstar was intentional. In fact, back before the anime came out, I had made a post on my Instagram discussing why I thought the name was strange since the letters didn't align with the characters at all. That was 5 years ago now, and finally we know that I was wrong back then. They did align perfectly. And so, with that context, I really do believe this is being done on purpose once again. I just don't see why they would do it 3 times and not a 4th, you know? Or maybe I'm just crazy and sensing patterns where there aren't any. I don't know. But Love Live is no longer shy about even numbers nor straying away from 9. We have Niji with 12, the School Idol musical with 10, the original Hasuno Sora with 6, and several duos. Even Aqua has 10 in the Yohane series if you count Lilaps in that one song. No matter what, I don't think the group is gonna have 9 members. My heart is set on 8, but with that, I'm completely out of theories that have any evidence. I'm definitely not out of theories, mind you, but anything else I can say now is going to be basically fan fiction. I would just like to point out a couple more facts that I couldn't fit into my speculation. The first is that this is the only time in the series' history, as far as I can remember, that the teaser has been given to us in portrait format instead of landscape. This might tell us that the story is going to be super focused on the main character, or that its scope is going to be smaller. I feel like it might be intentional since it would have made more sense to see all of this in landscape in my opinion, especially when it got revealed as a video instead of a magazine spread. But I suppose chances are just as good that it was only a creative decision for aesthetics. Speaking of aesthetics, I have to say the art style is quite interesting. To be completely honest, I thought it was AI for a second when I first saw it on my feed and didn't realize it was official. The hands are wonky and the hair is kind of nonsensical. I am not accusing this of being AI, to be clear. It was just my immediate reaction. Upon further inspection, the art style is a lot more similar to the Liella art than any others. Liella has some weird ass hands sometimes, man. The art is so stylized here that it's hard to imagine what it'll look like animated, but something like Superstar is likely. I do expect it to be animated, by the way, following the trend that we get of the new groups every 5 years. I really am running out of observations at this point though, so if you have anything that I missed, please comment it down below. I'm really excited to hear what you all think, and I cannot wait to hear more about this project. If I ended up getting anything right, I hope you all come back and hype this video up in the future. And if I got it all wrong, feel free to come back and clown on me too. I hope you all enjoyed, and maybe I'll come back with more updates when we get more info. For now though, thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe on your way out, because if you can't tell by now, I love talking about Love Live. And like I mentioned, this is my 10th year in the fandom. I have so many stories to tell from so many years dedicated to this series, and I really want to share them with you all very soon. I'll have some cool announcements coming as well, so stay tuned for that. Until next time though, this has been Astra, signing off. I'm sorry, I can't finish the video without saying this. Why the hell does she look exactly like Ruby from Oshinoko? Like, exactly like her. Like, this is the same person. That's weird, right? It's not just me.